Well, it's October 1st, 2024. This is scheduled for publication on October 2nd, 2024. There will be no output from this channel on October 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and the Sabbath, which we generally don't schedule any content. And if we do, we produce the content days before. So this is the last look at the election for 3 days. It's nice to take 3 days off an election. If you're trying to make money off the site, which I'm not trying to do here, you don't want to do this. You want to provide comment, build your audience all the time. I will have the ability to reflect on the election without any election news because I don't use my phone, and I'm going to be spending my time thinking about more important stuff like where the country's going and where God wants the country to go. And I don't think that's the way that's going to necessarily agree with Donald Trump. But anyway, Let's Talk Elections is a optimistic, Democratic-leaning analysis site, and they do good analysis, although I think this is a pessimistic analysis. This is the final results of their analysis of the election. Basically, it has Arizona going to Trump because the border issue has not been spoken to correctly or often enough by Kamala Harris, although she did go to Arizona yesterday or today and appeared at the voter and again called President Trump out for his tanking of the immigration bill in February. That everybody knows that he asked the people not to pass. It was good for the country, good for his policy, but bad for his chance of getting elected. So he said, well, the country can wait another year for a better policy on immigration. Except he seems to have forgotten that he tanked the bill. He now says he didn't tank the bill. He says it was a bad bill. Well, the Republicans that wrote it thought it was a great bill, and they were very happy that Joe Biden was willing to sign it. But so Arizona is currently leaning away from Harris, although that can change. And that's the state that did go to Joe Biden by about 11,000 votes in 2020. Nevada is being called as a slight win for Democrats' prediction 34 days before the election because of its history of going Democratic in every election except for the 2004 election. And it was obvious through the last part of the voting in Nevada that Bush was going to win the election, and Democratic supporters just stopped going to the polls the last few hours. Elections in Nevada, very squeaky margin, very small margin in 2004. Every other election this century in Nevada have gone Democratic, and there's a strong union presence. And the factor of get out the vote operations, which the Democrats have a traditional get out the vote operation, in addition to an electronic one that's very powerful, versus the outsourcing of the get out vote effort in the Trump campaign. It's all about making money. The first team was fired. The second team is organized late, and they have 1/10 of the funding of Harris. With the exception of Pennsylvania, the Harris campaign has a 2.10 to 5.0 to sometimes 10 to 1 advantage in available money to spend in the campaign. They're not spending any money in Texas, not spending money in Florida, yet those states are very close to flipping. Texas is close to flipping. I don't think it deserves money, but because of Ted Cruz having a very low likability index. People in Texas don't like him, and he's currently losing every poll in the past 2 weeks to his Democratic opponent, who I never knew existed until now. Blue Wall, Wisconsin is the closest. Is a close state. Michigan is a close state, but they're all just about going for Harris, just near the margin of error of the polls. The polls margin of error is between 3 and 4.5%, and every poll in the past few weeks has shown Harris as leading those polls. Pennsylvania is very close, and Pennsylvania has the benefit of $200 million of money spent so far in this media markets. I bet you Pennsylvania is really, really, really tired of election ads. They're really tired of seeing Kamala's face. They're really tired of seeing Trump's face. Oh, and I bet you Ohio is not wanting to see much of Trump anyway. And hide your pets, Trump is coming. Okay, I have to say, no pets were harmed or consumed in the production of this video. That would not be kosher. North Carolina is being called, in spite of the Robinson meltdown, Robinson, the black Nazi, he called himself apparently 10 years ago. He's a Republican candidate for governor. His staff has left. His polls show him on the ground, heading toward the ground as if he jumped out of a plane without a parachute. And his poll numbers are 16 to 20% down over the past week and a half since those revelations came out, and were not refuted. Georgia, a very close state, is leaning Trump, and the state officials have made a lot of effort to make it difficult for minority voters in Georgia, and the combination of these factors is making this pessimistic call for Trump versus Harris. I saw Harris's speech in Atlanta, Georgia, before she became a candidate, and I realized that the Democrats had a very powerful candidate, and that's why one of Bush's advisors tried to tank her when she ran for state attorney general in the late 2000s in California. Well, it didn't work. Interesting enough, if it was me and not Let's Talk Elections, which they have more data, experience, and research, I would say North Carolina is going to stay Democratic. But North Carolina has been ravaged, especially the western part of the state, by the hurricane. Now that can make people upset with government, and that can make people who are getting a fast response and getting help from government very appreciative. If you remember the 2012 election, there was a hurricane that hit New York, and Chris Christie of New Jersey appeared at and created a lot of B-roll with Barack Obama the week before the election. That didn't cost around the election, but Romney was not happy about it. The optics were not good, and that was a very big factor in that election. I withdraw that. It was a small factor. It was a big factor in the PR wars after the election. One of the advantages of the government has in an election is you get to do things with people's money, and you get to do it on camera. For example, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made an appearance at the Situation Room while Israel was being attacked by missiles, 180 missiles attacked while I was and my wife were outside Israel, but our kids were still there, and other family members were still there, and it was quite a scary moment. And the B-roll is coming out of the White House is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden talking and looking very much foreign policy in control, measuring the response as U.S. forces intervened in a small way. The military outcome showed that 2 U.S. destroyers using Aegis technology possibly blocked 3 missiles fired into a group of missiles headed toward Israel from the nearby coastline of Israel in the Mediterranean. There is no word on whether American missiles hit. The number of injured is very small, and the only death reported as a result of the attack on Iran is a Palestinian in Jericho who was hit by missile debris as it fell from the sky after being taken down by Iron Dome. So an interesting thing to think about is foreign policy. Today's special was, is J.D. Vance ready for the presidency? The question I have to ask now, is Donald Trump ready for the presidency? Is his policy of just throw bombs around and saying, it never would have happened if I was president, is a real policy, or just he doesn't remember what happened? Well, that's all. And remember, no pets were harmed in the productions video. We don't consume them because they're not kosher and because we like our pets, and we would never let the Republicans or the ghost Haitians or whoever's actually supposedly stealing pets take our pets. We value our pets as much as we value everything else in our lives. And say goodbye for 3 days, and I'll see you with the next video, probably coming out Sunday morning, recorded Saturday night. And 3 days off of politics for Rosh Hashanah and then the Sabbath are welcome in a news environment that is saturated. Thanks a lot. If you like this site, please hit the subscribe button, notify so you know what anytime I publish a lot of short videos that point to larger videos every day, except when there's Jewish holidays. Thanks a lot, and spread the word, send this to your friends, and message to my mother, when you hit reply all, everybody in that stream, in that text message receives your opinions. You read a book about politics, and that's kind of cool. I have to get a copy and read it, but you're also talking to 3 people, and I'm not sure that my friend from work who doesn't want to be in that text conversation really appreciates the reply all button. There's the reply button and the reply all button. I suggest maybe we should try the reply button in this case. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good, healthy New Year. Gamarka Sima Tova, Shana Tova. A great Jewish New Year beginning Wednesday sundown.